I am surprised at how many people get into leadership without study. And even when they're in the leadership, they are not reading. They are not comparing anything. In our parliament, sorry to say this here, they are fighting small battles. Japan, the minister last week passed a supplementary of 1 trillion yen. 1 trillion yen is a lot of money if I put it in Uganda shillings. To support companies which are producing computer chips, because they want to compete against China. Computer chips are the ones going in your radios, in your phones, everywhere. They are subsidizing a large company. You don't want to subsidize coffee and cotton and sugar. You are just there fighting each other over nothing. Nga bakuleka dda. Abaana ba Japan batunda yogurt n'ente tebamanyi bwefaanana. Nze ndina ente yogurt owange ali ku 2,000. Owaabwe ali ku 8,000. If that does not keep you awake, why are you a leader in any position? To know that my children cannot compete against the Japanese or Chinese in a world where everybody wants to have Africans for lunch, just to grab you for lunch. They say if you are not on the table of deciding economy, you are on the menu for eating. Many of us are on the menu for eating and we don't know. And we are saying, Rwabogo, Java, Jayawasiza, da. You find another Rwabogo and put him there. Or go and do the work. Have a sense of urgency. Know that the world has left you regardless of ndi Busoga, ndi Munyankole, ibi byetulimu, ndi Mukatoliki, ndi Musira. Those will always be there. But Uganda will lose time and our children will never compete with others. My prayer is that we have a burden. Leadership is a what? A burden comes from what? Please keep thinking about that. If you don't have a calling, genda okole ekirala. Nakyo kiba kirungi naye tozanyira mu kulembeze. The third thing that this requires is called, so you have standards and compliance, you have infrastructure. The third thing you require is called export funding. Export funding. So when you look at this, you will see the targets of each crop. Those of you who have this, maybe don't open it now, I'm confusing you because Kayemba stopped us. When you read this later, you will see the targets and I will find some people to speak about some of those products. So, if you have produced a particular product, you have fixed infrastructure, you have complied. Ewaffe, nze bwe amata bwe ngajja ku my brother here, I must pay him in 14 days max. Muntegeera? Naye gye ngatunda Kenya bansasulanga kuweddeko emyezi 3. So there is a mismatch. The farmer wants instant money. The market is asking you to wait. Many companies cannot export and scale because they have to find loans to deal with the farmer. Worst of all, the farmer is not organized as a cooperative to stay longer than 14 days. Even him, he wants olugoye lw'omukyala. Omwana mulwadde. So to stop that mismatch, we have thought of something called Trade Frontier Fund. If you have an invoice, and you want that invoice to supply a market in Kenya, in Congo, in London, you should bring that invoice and take the money, supply it. When you are paid, you bring back this money with no interest, just management fee. That is the fund they are fighting Rwabugo over. In a country that is 62 years old, where you don't have an import-export bank, where you don't have an agricultural bank, where you don't have a trade bank, you have high street commercial what? The C-seater commercial banks, high street money lenders. Because for me to borrow money, they ask for the certificate of marriage of my wife of 21 years ago. I say, I'm taking 40 million to pay farmers. Why are you asking my marriage certificate? I say, we don't know. I think the land title you gave, maybe you may have a problem with your madam. Is that part of export funding? How do you solve that problem if you don't have a burden? Leadership is a burden, and a burden comes from calling. That's what they are fighting me over. Luabogo bamuwadde 37 billion. The money for coffee, we have gone to the president and said, don't give money to individuals. Put it in a fund. Let coffee companies, vegetable companies, come and apply. They should be taken through a sieve. Akasengejja basooke bakulabe kiki kyokola. Invoice eri fake oba nungi. Bakuwe sente ogenda osuubule employing abaana baffe. Ekyo kye bakubira Lwabugo lwaki ayogera. I will speak them. I will do these things because when I am 82, by God's grace, in 2062, Uganda will be 100 years. I will be here. Maybe I'll still be walking straight without a stick. I don't want my grandchild to say, when things were going wrong, Grandpa, what were you doing? I will say, Nabiraba na munange nengamba kansirike. Never. I can never do that. I will tell my children I was in Iganga teaching on 23rd. I will tell my grandchildren to stand up for their country because I stood where nobody wanted me to stand for a cause. Leadership is a burden. A burden comes from. So, I want to conclude because I'll take a lot of time. Now, why I am here is that now we have found a market. I have a paper I did not give you. We have found a market of $556 million US across those 13 products. But there is no company with capacity to supply these orders. That's why we have this export fund we're trying to create. Now, if we are fixing infrastructure, standards and compliance, why Lwabugo is here is that we must think about this idea called what? There is no way we will aggregate enough maize, enough fish, enough whatever product you want to think about without what? Without working together. Working together is not just for politics. Working together is having a principled disagreement, but you still work together as a community. Do you understand? A principled disagreement is an issue-based disagreement. It is not a clan disagreement. It's not a religious disagreement. It's not an FDC NRM disagreement. Because shirts change like seasons. What doesn't change is content of the character of leaders. Working together is so fundamental for us to supply that market. Muntegera. Now, so, when you have a cooperative, you do what they call aggregation. I don't have time to write it there. Aggregation means that a buyer cannot go to 100 places to find a product. A month ago, I met the former Minister of Trade for Kenya. Very good Somali man. He said, Uganda, you are so abundantly blessed, but you are so disorganized. He said, when I was a minister, my president sent me to your president. We wanted 10 million bags of maize. And we didn't want to import them from Mexico because we have a neighborhood advantage. Transport is low. He said, I flew on a plane. I met your minister. They drove me around the country. Nenda babufamu butono, nenda babugundi, ngamba banangi. Capacity ya 10 million bags in Jijawa. Then he said, Olwaddako ayantwala nangamba munange oyinayo kompa nkuyambe. Then he said, I went back. Leadership is a burden. It comes from a calling. When we say corruption, these hands are doing what? Bava mufe. Bava mu families zaffe. Bava mu community yaffe. So, aggregation is what will help you to approach those markets. God bless you.
I'd like to hear from you. Please email us at info@tapmedia.com and visit our website at www.tapmedia.com. You can also visit our offices located at Tomosi Business Park, Luzira, Port Bell Road, or call 0414 220 702. Thank you.